Hello, this is Pastor Terry Goodman, and I want to welcome you to the Wesleyan Connection. This podcast is primarily for the clergy and laity of the Holston Annual Conference. Join with me now as I take a look around the Connection and share some of the things happening in the churches of our annual conference. I recently had quite a few meetings at the conference office in Alcoa, and I had the chance to sit down with a few people while I was there and sort of get their interpretation of what it is exactly they do. I sort of used the reference of the cog they are in the greater cog and wheel structure of the annual conference. And I had the pleasure of sitting down with Carol Wilson. She has the title of Executive Assistant to the Bishop and Director of Communications. That with a title like that, you would think of someone that's out front leading the charge kind of thing. But I think that after you hear this interview with Carol, you'll see that she sees herself more as a behind-the-scenes kind of person that helps to make our annual conference the great kind of conference that it is. So enjoy this interview with Carol. Okay, I'm here today with Carol Wilson. Can you tell us what your role is? What's your title here in the Holston Annual Conference?
All right. My title is Executive Assistant to the Bishop and Director of Communications.
Okay, so you work with the bishop and you talk to everybody else. Is that what that means? How would you break that down?
There's some truth in that. I could consider this position a resourcing position in many ways. I work with the district superintendents. I work with conference staff to make sure that we have the information that we need to coordinate well, to sometimes I say what I work on is train wreck prevention, to make sure we're all headed in the same direction, that we have the information that we need to make sure that we do that without accidentally tripping over each other or going in opposite directions. So I work to facilitate the work that happens here. I also work with superintendents as they are seeking to resource congregations to help them identify particular avenues of response, to research disciplinary questions, to consider possibilities and options that might be before them with a challenging circumstance or an opportunity. So I'm sort of a sounding board in some ways for those kinds of conversations. I work directly with the communication staff.
Who are what is our communication staff? Who are those people?
Sure. We have Annette Spence. Annette serves as our editor. She does the work for the call. So is the person that I think people see the most is covering stories of the conference. But we also have Donna Hankins, who services our website and does our video work and is more and more a part of our storytelling as new avenues come up for how we share the story of the conference and the ministries of our conference churches. Millie Neese produces our print resources and works with other ministry teams to help them make sure that they can get their word out. So bulletin inserts or brochures, those come through Millie. And then Brent Sharp is our IT manager, and he's a part of our team as well and helps us make sure that if you come into the conference office that your devices work, and it helps us with our emailing and just our infrastructure of technology so that we're able to support folks in the building and support the work that we do through technology to relate outside the building as well.
So it sounds to me like when you approach the task that's before you have to have both a macro view and a micro view.
It's a very perceptive insight. That's exactly right. So trying to look at the big picture and how all of the parts fit together and what are the implications for decisions that are made. I sit on the personnel resources team. I work with equitable compensation. I work with rules and order. I work with annual conference planning. Work with the appointment and extended cabinet. So in all of those ways, looking at the large picture of how do all of these multiple pieces fit together, but then do the macro work of making sure that we've edited things well, that we have interpreted well the work we're doing, that we've provided accurate information, that we have worked to support the ministries of our pastors and of our congregations to the best of our abilities.
So now this, you don't have to answer this one if you don't want to. So are you more comfortable with the macro or the micro picture?
I sort of enjoy that it's a responsibility set that requires both.
Okay.
I think I would get bored if it were just one or the other. I like to assimilate information, so that's what is fun for me. So I enjoy having the opportunity to sit at a variety of tables and hear lots of ideas and lots of information, and then pull all those pieces together. So it touches both the macro and the micro, and it's fun for me to say, oh, this is how that puzzle fits, and this is the picture, and this is our path to help it succeed. So I enjoy that work.
So when you look at the annual conference, you are looking at an entity that stretches from Radford and Floyd, Virginia, down through Southwest Virginia, East Tennessee, down into Georgia. You're looking, what are we now, 875 churches or something like
right
that?
Around 880, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you're looking at a picture that shows communities large, small. You're looking at older folks and younger folks and folks in between. You're sort of trying to get your finger on the pulse of what it means to be Methodist in Holston, and you're trying to coordinate the various aspects of our conference-wide ministry, but also you talked about assisting districts and getting the resources to them and others. Is that sort of an accurate picture?
Right. I very rarely am on the front line. I'm the person who's behind the scene trying to help facilitate. So it is my joy to hear the stories of what other people get to experience on the front line. So I love hearing the stories that our pastors tell, that our laypersons tell, that we're able to cover in conference communications about ways our ministries have shaped the life of a child or a youth, or opened an opportunity to respond to God's call for a young adult, or given a senior adult an opportunity to serve in a new way later in life. I love those stories. The work that I do really, though, is behind the scenes of trying to make sure that the avenues are clear for those opportunities to occur. And so one of the things that's been a privilege is to hear how people respond to challenges, see opportunities, evaluate their ministry settings, to be able to worship in a variety of congregations, to sit in a number of meetings, and just to learn from the various ways that people see the world and hear God's call and respond to it. So it's just fun to me to see ministry as it unfolds in all of those various settings that you just described. They're a part of Holston.
I've got two questions and we'll close out. First question is, what is the passion that drives you to be in ministry? What is that thing that burns in you that makes you want to be in ministry?
I believe that God calls us to abundant life, and that we have the opportunity as those who are in ministry to open the doors for others to experience God's grace, God's love, God's mercy, especially as been revealed to us in the life and death and resurrection of Jesus, in a way that opens them to embrace life fully and in a way that they wouldn't otherwise. So I love it when the work we do helps others come to life. I love it when the church comes together in a way that a community is transformed, that hope is brought into a situation that looks hopeless, that new possibilities emerge because we've put our own particular agendas aside and said, what would God have us to do in this place? for us to get to participate in God's transforming work is just an exciting thing to me to witness and to be a part of. So part of, and maybe a key part of the passion I have for ministry is to get to participate in what I believe God desires for the world, and that is life in its abundance, life in its fullness, life that helps us to be all that God would want us to be individually and collectively, and then to watch how that just changes the world over and over again and more and more into the vision that God has for it.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate the work that you do for our annual conference,
Thank
and
you.
I'm hoping that folks listening will get a better idea of how your cog makes the big wheel turn, so to speak. But now, one final question. This is the most serious question of them all.
Oh my, okay.
What is your favorite dessert?
Oh, my favorite dessert. Oh, that may be the hardest question you've asked. I like desserts. Let's see. I tend to be drawn towards chocolate. So I would say, my favorite. I probably love things like hot fudge cakes. I like things that are warm, and desserts that are warm and that have
cold at the same time.
Cold at the same time, and have chocolate sauce on top. I'm a happy person.
Well, thank you so much for sharing with us, and I pray God's blessing on the ministry you do for us all.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
This is Pastor Goodman. Thanks for listening to this edition of the Wesleyan Connection. Be sure to check back often for more podcasts.